I was standing on the porch, shivering in the cold, holding a pie I baked from scratch, trying to hold on to some kind of hope for the evening. Christmas dinner with family was supposed to be warm, comforting, joyful, even. But the second my aunt opened the door, everything shifted. She looked me up and down, rolled her eyes, and with a voice full of annoyance muttered, "We don't want you here." Then she turned and walked away, leaving the door wide open and me standing there like I was invisible. I didn't know what to do. My hands were frozen, but my heart? That was colder. The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon drifted from inside, mixing with the sound of laughter I hadn't heard in years. I thought maybe this year would be different. I thought maybe enough time had passed. But clearly, the past hadn't been forgotten or forgiven. You see, family drama doesn't always stay buried. Sometimes it shows up right at the front door when all you want is a place at the table. And in that moment, standing on the edge of warmth and rejection, I realized something had been brewing beneath the surface for far longer than I thought. Old grudges, whispered rumors, and wounds that never quite healed. This dinner wasn't just a meal. It was a ticking bomb. My cousin peeked around the corner, eyes wide. He saw me but didn't say a word. My uncle glanced up from carving the turkey, his expression unreadable. No one told me to come in. No one said I should leave either. Just silence. Thick, heavy silence. And right then, I knew this Christmas dinner wasn't going to be about peace and love. It was going to be something else entirely. I stepped one foot inside, unsure if I was even allowed to. No one stopped me, but no one welcomed me either. I could feel the heat from the fireplace, but it didn't reach me. The tension in the room wrapped around me tighter than my coat ever could. My aunt disappeared into the kitchen like I didn't exist, and the few people who glanced my way quickly looked back at their plates, avoiding eye contact. It had been 3 years since I last saw most of them. After my mom passed away, things fell apart. She was the glue, the one who kept everyone connected, even when there were cracks underneath. After the funeral, I drifted from the family, or maybe they drifted from me. It's hard to tell when nobody calls and your messages go unanswered. Still, I thought Christmas could be a chance to start fresh. I guess I was wrong. I saw my cousin Sarah sitting at the far end of the table. We used to be close like sisters, but even she didn't smile. Just kept her eyes down, fiddling with her napkin. What happened between us? What did I do that made everyone turn so cold? Aunt Janet came back out, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She looked right through me and asked someone to pass the gravy, like I wasn't even in the room. Every word, every movement around the table, felt like it was designed to leave me out. I was a ghost at my own family's dinner. And then I noticed something strange. An envelope on the mantel with my name on it. No one mentioned it. No one looked at it. But I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was inside might explain everything. I kept glancing at the envelope on the mantel, but no one else seemed to notice it. Or maybe they were pretending not to. Either way, it felt like it was meant for me, and at the same time like touching it would break some silent rule no one ever explained. I stayed near the doorway, unsure if I was supposed to sit or just turn around and leave. My hand still held the pie, and it felt heavier by the second. Behind the forced small talk and clinking of silverware, there was a current of something darker. Tension hung over the table like steam from the food. Uncle Ray, who used to be the funny one, was unusually quiet. Aunt Janet kept side-eyeing me whenever she thought I wasn't looking. My cousin Sarah wouldn't even glance up, and her little brother, who used to follow me around like a shadow, acted like he didn't remember me at all. And yet, nobody told me to go. That was the strangest part. It was like they wanted me to feel uncomfortable, like this was all some kind of punishment. But for what? I finally put the pie down on the counter, careful not to make noise. My heart was pounding, not because of anything anyone said, but because of everything they didn't. I couldn't figure out if I was being blamed for something, or if there was a secret everyone knew that I didn't. Then, in the middle of the silence, I caught my name. Uncle Ray had muttered it under his breath to Aunt Janet, and she shook her head sharply like he'd said too much. That one moment told me everything. There was something they weren't saying. And I had a feeling that envelope held the first piece of it. I stood there for a few more minutes, feeling like the walls were closing in. Every sound felt louder than it was. The scrape of a fork, the hum of the heater, the sharp clink of a wine glass hitting the table. My name hanging in the air, whispered like a warning, kept echoing in my head. I couldn't pretend anymore. I needed answers. I slowly walked over to the mantel, my steps quiet, almost afraid someone would stop me. No one did. They all kept their eyes down like the envelope wasn't even there. But I could feel their attention shift the second I reached for it. My fingers brushed the edge of the paper. It was heavy. Not like a card or a note, more like a letter someone debated sending for a long time. My hand shook as I held it. Aunt Janet's voice cut through the room, flat and cold. "That's not for tonight," she said. But she didn't take it from me. She just stared, eyes locked on mine like she dared me to open it. My pulse was racing. Everything in me wanted to rip it open right there. But something held me back. Uncle Ray stood up suddenly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Maybe she has the right to know," he said, his voice strained. Sarah's head snapped up. That was the first time I saw real emotion in her eyes, fear. Not of me, but of whatever truth was buried in this room. The entire table had gone silent again, but this time it wasn't awkward. It was electric, ready to snap. I held the envelope tighter, heart pounding. I didn't know what was inside, but I knew it was the key to everything. And once I opened it, nothing would be the same. I didn't move. The envelope felt like it was burning a hole through my fingers, but I couldn't bring myself to open it. Not with everyone staring. I looked around the room, searching for a sign, some small gesture from anyone that might tell me what to do. But they all stayed frozen. Like they were watching a scene they'd rehearsed and didn't want to mess up. Then Sarah stood up. She didn't say anything at first. Her chair creaked behind her as she stepped toward me. The look in her eyes had changed. There was guilt now and something else I couldn't name. She reached out, gently took the envelope from my hands and said in a low voice, "Not here." My heart dropped. I followed her silently out of the dining room, down the narrow hallway to our grandmother's old sewing room. It hadn't changed in years, the same musty scent, the same broken clock on the wall. She closed the door and locked it behind us. "I tried to tell you last year," Sarah whispered. "I wrote you 3 times. Aunt Janet intercepted everything." My stomach turned. I hadn't imagined the silence. It had been planned. "She didn't want you to know the truth," Sarah said, her voice trembling.
Ist daher, frozen.
"What truth?" She hesitated, then looked me dead in the eyes. "It's not just about Mom's will or the money. It's about what happened the night she died." The room spun. I stepped back, hitting the edge of the old desk. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Sarah held up the envelope. "It's all in here. But if you open this, everything changes. You'll never look at this family the same way again." I stared at the envelope in Sarah's hands, heart pounding so loud it was hard to think. My fingers trembled as I reached out and took it back, finally tearing it open. Inside was a folded letter and a photocopy of something official. My mother's handwritten will. The real one. Not the version Aunt Janet had shown me years ago after the funeral. I scanned the letter, my breath catching with every line. My mom had left everything to me. Her house, her savings, even the old cabin up north. She trusted I'd know what to do. But none of it ever reached me. Instead, Aunt Janet had told the whole family my mom didn't leave a will, that everything was split equally. It was all a lie. And then came the final part of the letter. A paragraph written in my mom's own shaky handwriting days before she passed. She said she suspected someone had tampered with her medications. That she was feeling strange after visits from certain family members, specifically Aunt Janet. My knees buckled. I looked at Sarah, stunned. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I tried," she whispered. "But I was scared. And Uncle Ray, he knew too. He's the one who gave me the letter last week. He found it hidden in Grandma's sewing box." Just then a soft knock came at the door. Not loud, almost hesitant. Then a voice. It was Aunt Janet. "Come out," she said calmly. "You've read enough." But before I could move, Sarah whispered, "She doesn't know about the copy I sent to the lawyer." I froze. That was the twist. This wasn't just a family secret. It was about to become a legal storm. Christmas dinner wasn't the end of something. It was just the beginning. I didn't answer right away. I just stood there, holding the letter like it weighed more than anything I'd ever carried. Outside the door, Aunt Janet waited. Calm voice, steady tone, but I knew better now. The woman who used to braid my hair and pass me extra cookies had taken more than memories from me. She took my mother's final wishes and twisted them for her own gain. Sarah gently touched my arm. "We don't have to go out there right now," she said. And we didn't. For the first time in years, I felt like I had someone on my side. The truth was out, maybe not to the whole family yet, but soon it would be. I wasn't the outsider anymore. I was the one who'd been kept out on purpose. When we finally stepped back into the living room, the mood had shifted. Uncle Ray gave me a nod, subtle but supportive. Sarah stayed close. Aunt Janet stood near the fireplace, her smile tight, her eyes calculating. But she didn't say anything. She didn't need to. She knew it was over. I picked up the pie I had brought and placed it on the table. "Mom made this every Christmas," I said softly. "She always said no matter what, we sit together and eat." No one moved for a moment. Then slowly Sarah sat. Ray followed. And just like that, the dinner I thought would be a disaster became something else. A start. Not perfect, not fixed, but real. Later that night, I walked out into the snow with Sarah beside me. A copy of the letter safe in my coat pocket. The truth had been buried for too long. But Christmas, in its strange way, brought it to light. And maybe, just maybe, that was the gift I didn't know I needed.